Hello, welcome to Monte Carlo to Marlow.
Hi, Vandana. Welcome to the podcast. And we have a lovely extra guest as well, a furry friend. It was lovely to see you at the Marlow market the other day as well.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for being a regular customer and supporting me in this
I
venture.
do like your drinks. Yeah, I do like your drinks. So let's start by talking about how you started and what you actually wanted to do originally as a career.
So that's a big question. When you talk about a career, I think I had multiple careers. I started at 23 with an advertising professional, and had my own advertising agency back in India then.
Yeah.
Then I moved to the UK into 2009, and ever since I was working with inclusion and teaching. And so now, after a decade of giving my life with inclusion and working with special needs, I felt there's a huge shift in people in consuming the drinks in the low and no segment. And I felt a lot of the Gen Zs when I was working with the 18 plus children and 16-year-olds, that there was a big movement and a shift towards them not drinking at all. And that's when my daughter turned 18 at the same time. And when I started my journey, and I realized that there was such a big gap in the market with people looking for clean drinks and something in the low and no segment. So that's when I started I can say my third phase, my third phase of my life. And now that's how I started Khoki United. That's Khoki, and that's me. We travel around the world. And I found a beautiful story where I work with the farmers, and I realized there's so much of excess fruit that goes wasted. And they were crafting these beautiful beverages made from real fruit. And you'll be stunned that there's no added sugar in that, and there's a totally different craftsmanship that they have. The skills that they put in developing the beverages was so unique and rare. And I felt this was a perfect product for me to get it back to the UK markets and the segment that doesn't drink. And that also includes me. And when I touched my
Yeah, me too. I haven't had alcohol for, I think, about 6 years now. So
yes,
it's great to see so many brands coming to the market that actually taste nice and, like you say, aren't packed full of sugar.
yes, you're right. So that's when there's a lot of influx of low no products in the market, but that's where we want to differentiate ourselves. And so that's where the journey started, identifying that. So it took me 2 years, went around the world looking for that perfect product. And I'm an importer from Spain and Germany, and we work directly with the farmers in Valencia and a lovely village in Swabian Alps in a UNESCO protected site where we empower 400 farmers. And these drinks are crafted by the non-alcoholic is by Mr. Geiger himself, who lives there, and is also the chairman of the Meadow Fruit Association. And from the Spain, it is the third generation of the Antelo family where they craft these drinks. So I'm very pleased that these stories I can bring about and share to the world.
And so before you started to go into this industry, you were doing marketing and advertising.
Correct.
And so obviously, did you feel a bit more confident about that, also that part of the journey that you already kind of knew about branding and promoting and marketing? Did that really help when you were starting a new business?
So, Krista, I'm now 50. So, when I started my marketing and advertising, I was in my 20s, and until my late 30s, I was in the industry. But from my almost say from 35 onwards to till about my 50th year, I was into working with children with special needs. So, it's been a different perspective of my journey. And but yes, because it was my own business then, and I think a knowledge is always a knowledge. It never gets out of you. So if you knew something in branding or marketing, those skills definitely help. And then I had an MBA as well, which I did in masters in, and my specialization was in marketing and sales. But then you're looking at those days when now it's all AI. And so when I
Everything's
actually
changed.
landed into the business, it's totally into the new generation of marketing and sales, which is a bit of an anxious situation for me. But I think the telling the story or the foundation is still the same. People like to hear about a good story, hear about a good product. But yes, how do you manage yourself out of the clutter is definitely how your product is differentiated.
And how did you even begin to start thinking about finding suppliers? Because it's such a new thing for you to do. Where did
Yes.
you first look to think, okay, and did you already know that you wanted something with sustainability and what kind of fruit you wanted and flavors? What kind, where did you even start in your head? What did you imagine?
That's a good question. So there's a saying, what goes around comes around. So when I started my advertising agency, my first client was a farmer who left his job and started pomegranate farming in India. So 20 years later, he became a billionaire. And then he always thought I had a talent towards business. And he mentioned that when you're ready, please come to a Fruit Logistica exhibition and have a look at what we do. And that's when I just jumped in the flight and went to Spain. And this is how destiny works. And I wanted to do vertical farming like them. And I love nature and I love trees, being around the trees. And I thought fruit growing was a great thing to do. And especially that time it was COVID. We're just coming out of COVID and there was a lot of Brexit happening and lack of fresh fruit and from the farm to the table kind of a concept. So I thought I would grow strawberries in a vertical farming. But that's when all the gurus of the world, the real farmers said, please do not do that. It's the most difficult thing to work with soil. And he said, if there's something of a value added product you could do, we would be more than happy because we have so much of surplus fruit that keeps growing and we don't know what to do with it. So that's when it struck me, and this was in Valencia in Spain, and sorry, in Madrid. And I went around searching for innovation and about the value-added products that they were showcasing around the world. So Fruit Logistica is a very big. It's like a global fruit trade fair that happens, and this is where I came across Spain and their products being displayed. First will be the oranges in front of you, and somewhere there were the bottles. So that caught my eye. I think the color of the orange really appealed to me. And then I asked them, is that a real orange wine? And they said, yes. I said, wow. But the story doesn't end there. So as usual, we pick up the products, samples, and I put it in my bag. And that evening I go for dinner and I lose my wallet. And then I don't have a place to stay because I was supposed to go and book in myself in a hotel. And I get myself to a friend's house. Her name is Beatrice and Robert. They hosted me for that night. And as an Indian courtesy, I just said, okay, this is a bottle of wine for you. And we opened the bottle and drank. And Beatrice, being Spanish, she said, oh my God, this is amazing. How come we don't know in Spain such wonderful products? And I think that's when it clicked, because somebody who drinks a wine, a connoisseur of wine, coming from Spain, and where they know the reds are quite popular and the whites are popular, and somebody saying this orange wine was equally good, made me think. And that's when my journey started. Yeah. So this is the real traditional orange wine.
Mhm.
It's made with the real tangerine orange. And this is 7% low alcohol.
Okay.
So this is the journey started with the low alcohol for me. And then I realized later on that the low and the no segment was equally increasing. So this supplier does only the 0%, 7%. And now he's also coming up with the zero for me. And then we have the other supplier in Germany as well who's doing the zero. So that's how the journey, it started from Spain. And then again, destiny bumped into Mr. Geiger and his team in UK. And when they were showcasing in a national wedding trade show, and I tasted the products, and that's it. It was so good. And now I work alongside with them, the UK market as well. And we are also trying to now work in more geographies with the low and no segment. So the story behind the zero from Germany is very touching. It's actually, if you can see the label, which this is the tea seco that you really like, Krista.
Yeah.
And these are 200-year-old pear and apple trees grown in a UNESCO protected site in Swabian Alps. And Mr. Geiger, he's the Meadowfruit Association, and they've got this little symbol here that says that. And he actually empowers all the farmers there. He collects the fruit and he handcrafts each and every beverage like this, what I'm showing to you. This is a 0.0. It's pear, apple, and Darjeeling tea. So the story, Yes. The story is this. It is to the audience like you who don't want to drink alcohol. But yes, we work on the inclusion. Where this one, you actually you pop it like a celebration. It has the
Yeah,
same
it's
kind
such
of
a
a
lovely
celebratory
bottle,
feel.
isn't it? As
Yes.
well. Yeah.
And then you actually pour it in a flute. It looks like a prosecco with the bubbles coming up. So you feel like you are part of the social setting, and you have something more meaningful in a glass to hold, and you're not judged in a social setting equally.
Yeah, it doesn't
So
feel like I also like your rose, mint, and apple from the same supplier, which is really lovely. In fact, I met you at Danesfield House at the Christmas fair, and I bought a bottle of that and took it to my sisters for Christmas. So that bottle that you had there, the rose, apple, and mint, is the one that I bought for my family to take over to Christmas, and everybody loved it. And what was really lovely about it, it comes in such a beautiful bottle that it's a very nice thing to take as a gift. But also drinking it, you kind of sip it like quite a sophisticated drink. You don't sort of glug it back like it's a fizzy drink. It actually feels like you're having something that is like a wine or a champagne. I think that's what sets your drinks really apart from so many other of the drinks in the market. It's like gulp and they're gone. So talk about how the taste profiling, and you were telling me about the raspberries and the blackberries and the fruits, about how much fruit there is in there, and you really work to make sure that there's no sugar added, and the times that when the fruit is picked means that it's got less sugar content.
So, Krista, what you had were two different, one was a rose apple mint, and then this is a lovely tea seco as well. So, the story of the non-alcoholic beverages is that this comes from a lovely, beautiful Swabian Alps, where there are 200-year-old pear and apple trees. The manufacturer, your Geiger, who crafts all these beautiful drinks, he he has a very different technique of getting all the type of the juice from the real fruit, but they're picked up in a particular state of in the stage of the fruit where the fructose is pretty much less. That's how they control the sugar levels. And but he also crafts the drink in a very sophisticated way where the tartness, the aromas, and the acidity and the structure of the whole drink is great for fine dining. And also, it pairs with food. And also, it's like almost the structure of a wine. So, the same
You
kind of
have
a.
top notes, middle
Yes,
notes, and yeah,
yes,
you do
yes,
definitely taste the difference for sure.
yes. So that's why, though people say, hey, when you look back at the ingredients, it's an apple juice, a pear juice, or raspberry juice. The whole structure of the way he uses the tannins and he plays around with the acidity levels of the each type of berries or the fruit is what really comes out in the fine bottle. And that's why you find it's so easy to drink, but still you just can't gulp it.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And you have a new white Blanc de Blanc there as well that is in a lot of the fine dining restaurants.
As we have, so Geiger crafts the grape zero, and he also does a 0.0, which is a non grape. So, as you know, people like you or many others who are probably not wanting to drink a grape and are looking for alternative to a grape, then yes, the raspberry and the rose apple mint and the tea secos are perfect fit for that. We also have a rhubarb and apple. But for the ones who love their grapes and probably they are just didn't want to drink on that particular day, either they're driving or they're choosing not to drink, more mindful, Geiger does a lovely Blanc de Blanc, which is again a Chardonnay grape. But he de-alkalizes the alcohol out, and again he uses his own skills to craft it back into a lovely tasty, refreshing Blanc de Blanc, which is actually made in the same notes as a champagne is made. So this is a beautiful, served in the restaurants. Again,
The bottle again is really beautiful.
it's
Who
beautiful.
designs who does your artwork and the design for the bottles? Because they're so lovely.
Thanks to the German labels.
Is it the German company that does
Yeah,
them?
it's a German company. Yeah. So
Yeah.
again, the story is German. The bottle is from Germany, and the product, the fruit, everything is crafted. And if you look at the bottle from Valencia, this is again an in-house. Mr. Gonzalo's wife, Isabel, she's a designer, so she's done all these labels herself. So it is their own orchard, their own fruit, and their own labels gives the entire story from the orchard to the bottle, literally. So this is a lovely Aqua de Valencia. It is again a fruit mixed with the wine. It's a beautiful innovation where we are using the local traditional Aqua de Valencia is a traditional recipe, but a slight re-engineering with the type of the wines that they've chosen to use, or getting a fresh fruit in it without adding preservatives is what it's a ready to drink non-alcoholic but 7% low alcohol
Yeah,
cocktails.
we were talking before about how it's not just about the low and no alcohol drinks that you're really passionate about. It's the health side of things with not adding lots of sugar to
Absolutely.
the drinks. And this can work for adults and for children. And it's great to see that you're really mindful of what sugar's going into things. And you said that you've been approached by some companies to look at making some drinks for children.
Yes. So if you look at this whole bottle of an orange wine, this is made with real tangerine oranges, and it's the same winemaking process, but the natural sugar of the orange and the yeast actually takes up the natural sugars of the fruit and turns it out into a lovely wine. And in this calories here, which is written there, it's 213 calories, and this is all for the whole bottle. So that's how it is low. And even when you look at the spritz, the sweetness comes from the muscatel grape and the fruit itself, which is the orange wine, the oranges. So there's no added sugar in none of them. And not only that, there's a QR code also that tells you what the ingredients hold, because it's very important to every consumer. Please go on to the ingredients, and always, if there's a QR code, please check what exactly is in the ingredients, because this is where the whole story comes out and how much of preservatives or add-on they have added to this. And I was also mentioning about this app called Ivy.
So interesting that there's actually ingredients in some things that aren't even listed. I find it seems illegal that you can get away with that, but I guess if it's a trace ingredient, they don't have to.
Yes, they have a different categories on how they show the profiling of uh, from your magnesium to your potassium to trace elements to lead. So it's interesting. You can just download it. I think it's free. And I just normally scan all the products, because I know there's a lot of mindful and conscious consumers. Often the advertising or the branding goes in such a way that, hey, zero means we just think everything that's zero is good for health. But please don't take that. Though I promote zero, but I'm one of those conscious consumers, and my journey started being a consumer first, and that's why I just go seeing that all the products we drink are mostly clean, and 90% are clean and ethical, sourced, sustainable, organic. When they say it's organic, it's a really organic certified farms, and the process is also all the due diligence checks are done by the companies. So we don't do any added sugars, and we also have a vegan. Our tea seco is a vegan, and to all
And
audience.
it's the Ivy app. We'll just repeat that so that people know
Yes,
that they can
it's
use
called
the Ivy app to
it's
scan.
called IBY, and it's got like a 3-leaf logo icon, and you can actually download it on your phone, and it's good, especially when you have people with health issues or children. We just want to make sure that what they claim that they're good, they're actually on the label as well, equally
And
good.
for pregnancies, you said.
Sometimes I use some herbs like wormwood, and please be very careful if there's a wormwood in your products. It's especially not. It's quite dangerous for pregnancy, and just try to avoid drinks or any cocktails or mocktails that have. So please watch out and ask your bartender if there's a wormwood in it.
If they know. So
Yeah.
talk to me about, you've won so many awards, which is very well deserved. Talk to me about what it felt like winning your first award and some of the other ones that have really stood out for you that have really
So Krista,
driven you.
I totally, we are grateful to all the suppliers who have actually manufactured such wonderful and handcrafted all these products. In fact, last week, the Orange Spritz won an award in Valencia, and I'm so happy for the team and for the team, and being a part of the Torangino family for the UK based. The orange wine in the London Wine Awards last year won an award against the existing orange wine, which is in a category which is a white wine mixed with skin contact. So it was amazing to know that this actually stood against that, because this is made from real tangerine orange, whereas that was a grape. So it's interesting that people are now recognizing alternative wines or wines made with other non-grape varieties. The Blanc de Blanc and the Tea Secos have also won a lot of awards in the drinks business. And thanks again to Mr. Geiger and his wonderful creations and the team. And I'm happy for the team, and I look forward for many more.
I think you deserve it so much with what you're doing because, you know, you are quite a pioneer in this industry, really, with what you're doing. So sometimes that can be quite difficult. And you seem to have really made great relationships in Spain and Germany. And you were telling me that the next country that you're starting to work with is Portugal.
So Portugal happens to be the next sought after place, I think, because there is fruit and there is wine in the same country. If you have visited Portugal, it still goes back into its traditional drinking methods of having their lovely reds and whites from the Douro region and the Amarante region, which I must say they are really, really good. Though I don't drink, but I think a sip of it shows the character and the tradition. And what I really like is that they're so proud of their tradition. And I registered a company there now, and we are also accepted by the University of Portugal to be into the fruit and beverage innovation. So looking for working again with the farmers there, with the local fruit and the local wines. And I think it never ends, because that's where my Khoki United is, about innovation and uniting all the farmers around the world equally and finding the innovation there. So Portugal, then probably from India next. We have a lovely pomegranate wine coming from there, and a blackberry called jamun. So we're looking for that. So end of the story is that we love the
A minute. We need to talk about Cambridge because
Oh, yeah. And it never ends. Yeah. So that's the global scenario, and this is the local scenario. So I'm so pleased and grateful for Jenny Jeffries for writing a column on Khoki and our story in their Rural Life magazine. And in that, she mentions a lot of the hard work that goes behind. And she was very kind enough to introduce me to a few of her farmer friends, but they're quite famous. They have done a lot of contribution already in their field. And now we are trying to talk to how we could get a lot of fruit from Cambridge. And there's a lot of fruit wastage that's happening, because in that region grows a lot of pears and apples again. But having said that, seeing these type of innovations, we could always pair the local fruit and turn it into a lovely beverage, whether it's a low alcohol or a 0%. And what I'm really keen on doing is there are a lot of plenty local farms around the UK. And Jenny has mentioned, and we also like a Peterlee farm. There's one in the Chilterns, and in Oxford there's one more farm, Refractory, where we've done our Christmas markets there. There are about 40 acres of farms, and they actually grow fruit, and they're very keen on. It's just not a fruit juice, but then we're looking at crafting. If I could collaborate with all these local farmers and their fruit, just imagine what beautiful recipes you could go and craft. And I'm happy for contributing if that day comes back to England and the country, and it's nothing like it, because every farmer around the world has a story to tell. And I think it's really good that as long as you're doing the right thing.
The fact that you're working with waste in such a creative and delicious way, it's a win-win, isn't it, for everybody? And to know that there's farmers that could enhance what they're doing. It's so difficult for farming at the moment, and knowing that there's another industry that they could potentially be working in, surely that's a great opportunity for them.
Correct, Krista. And also, I want to make to notify people here. People think that when we talk about agri waste or fruit waste, it's not a fruit that's fallen on the ground or it's gone just dirty on the floor, but it's a fruit that's actually it's an excess fruit that's grown, and it's still hanging on the tree, but it's plucked and then it's crafted into something else. So traditionally, people have been using the fruit for making jams or any other kind of cider making. All this has been a very traditional method. But now it's the innovation that's come in. Okay, there's a lot of fruit that's wasted, but then it's just not plopped and gone bad. It's a real good fruit, export quality fruit sometimes, like the Spanish ones. They're all going to the export. But neither is it the wonky fruit that goes into the market. It's just that the perfect fruit, but it is probably 2 tons have been exported, and there's 1 ton still lying there unexported. So that's what the quality fruit that they use. And
did you know that there was as much of this product available when you started making the wine? Did you think, oh, I'm not going to find enough product? Or, are you surprised about how much there is available to you?
So that's a good question again, because sometimes when you work with like how a grape has a DOC, I choose to be working in locations that has got a DOC to that particular fruit as well. So as you know, oranges are famous from Valencia and Sicily region in Italy. If anybody has gone to Valencia and walking on the roads, you will see orange trees all across, and you will never run out of the fruit. So for sure, I knew when I was working with the farmers here from Valencia, I said, no, the fruit will always be on the ground and in plenty and in abundance. Yeah. So I'm sure we'll never run out of oranges. And same goes with the apple and pear trees in Swabian Alps. I think it's been there for centuries, the 200 years old trees. They just fruit every year, and it's always going to be there in that region. We'll never run out of that fruit.
And it's just finding new products to make, which
so
is...
that is why I'm very keen on any new product. It is, I work directly with the DOC of that region and that fruit. So it's local, it's traditional, because if you notice the water, the sun, if it's by the sea, all the salt, everything goes, makes a character of that particular fruit. Why a Valencian orange is more famous than maybe any other orange in the world is because of the sea and the land and the kind of the salty bits, the salty air and the mountainous region, all that comes in for the taste of the fruit. That's why it's very important. And I'm looking for...
I wish you all the luck, because I personally am passionate about this industry and this category. I will completely follow your progress, and I know it's going to grow and grow.
Yes, I just want to say one last thing is that thank you to all who have actually, to Marlo especially, because I think people love the rhubarb there very much, and the tea secos. And not only that, people who have met me and believe in the journey, like yourself and others. And I'm really grateful for giving this platform. But yes, the bigger picture is still there, because one day I just want to craft a drink that suits for, irrespective of the age group, or whether it's a child or for a pregnant mother. And so I'm just looking around the world for that beautiful, rich drinks I could create, which are non-alcoholic for them, so that the whole world can be inclusive and we can all
raise the glass.
Yes, the glass, and celebrate our lives in a more clean and organic way.
As you say, with a toast to your good health.
Yes,
and
to your good health.
It's even better health if you're drinking something non-alcoholic.
Absolutely. So be mindful what you're consuming, but then yes, definitely enjoy the moment.
Enjoy it.
Yes, enjoy the
absolutely.
moment.
Thanks so much.
Thank you so much, and thank you from Coco as well.
It's nice we had a little extra furry face in there today. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Krista. Bye-bye.